know someone extremely frugal. They question every small expense. They compare prices before buying anything. They hold on to money like it's survival. But here's the strange part. People like this rarely feel like they have enough. Sometimes they'll still spend big on something worth it. No hesitation, no guilt. And right after that, the anxiety about money comes back. As if no matter how tightly they control things, they still don't feel safe. And this is the key point. The more they try to hold on to money, the more they fear losing it. So what's the real issue? Is it money or something deeper inside? Now imagine this. You know someone who's very careful with money. They use coupons for every meal. They keep old things longer than needed. They think forever before buying something small. But then, that same person can spend a lot on a trip, a concert, an experience they call worth it. And there's always some money they never touch, like an invisible shield. From the outside, it looks inconsistent. You might think they're bad with money. But actually, most people misunderstand this. It's not just spending behavior. It's not just discipline. And it's not contradiction. It's a psychological pattern, a way the brain tries to create safety, but ends up doing the opposite. So the real question is, why do people who save more feel like it's never enough? Is the problem money or the feeling of safety inside them? There's a type of person who always prepares ahead, not because they love control, but because they've seen life out of control. If you grew up in unstable times, you know this feeling. Jobs can disappear anytime. Money isn't always stable, and systems don't always protect you. You watch adults around you. They work hard, but can still lose everything overnight. Your brain remembers that. No one teaches you. It learns on its own. It builds a survival system. Psychologists call it defensive pessimism. But if you live in it, it doesn't feel negative. It feels real. You always think ahead. What if something goes wrong? What if I lose my job? What if there's an emergency? So you prepare, you save, you hold money, you avoid overspending. Not because you want to be rich, but because you don't want to feel helpless. Here's the big difference. Some people save to move forward. You save to avoid falling. And that changes everything. Money is no longer freedom. It becomes a safety cushion, something that helps you sleep at night, something that makes you feel in control. Now imagine this. You have savings, but you don't dare use it. Not because you're stingy, but in your mind, that money isn't for spending. It's a survival plan. One day, you might need it. And when that day comes, you must be ready. That's why you can be very frugal daily, but still spend on worthy things. Because in your mind, there are two systems, survival and reward. You don't spend for comfort. You spend when it feels worth the risk. But even when you have money, the feeling of enough never comes. Because the fear isn't about numbers, it's about memory. What you've seen, what you've lived through. And your brain keeps whispering, be ready, in case everything falls apart. But that's not all. There's another mechanism, stronger than you think, quietly shaping how you see money. Your brain isn't fair with money. Loss feels stronger than gain. Losing $100 hurts more than earning $100 feels good. It's an old survival instinct. And if you grew up in instability, it's even stronger. You don't just dislike losing money. You fear it. You overthink every purchase, not because you can't afford it, but because you're afraid of regret, afraid of making the wrong choice, afraid of thinking, I shouldn't have bought this. That feeling is heavier than the joy of owning it. You've probably felt this. You buy something you don't really need. Right after, you don't feel happy. You feel uncomfortable. You start asking, why did I spend money on this? And that feeling lingers. But when you save money, you don't feel excited, just relief. Good thing I didn't spend it. That's how your brain works. It doesn't reward you for gaining. It protects you from losing. So you avoid risks. You choose safety. You hold on to money. You delay big decisions, not because you don't want a better life, but because you don't want to feel wrong. Notice this. You can spend on big experiences, but small daily expenses, you're extremely careful, because small, repeated spending feels like constant loss. But big, rare spending is easier for the brain to forgive. And here's the truth. You're not saving because you love saving. You're saving because you fear loss. Fear losing control, fear losing safety, fear losing what you worked so hard for. And as long as that fear exists, no matter how much money you have, it will never feel enough. Not because you lack money, but because your brain is avoiding a pain it never wants to feel again. People think saving money is a financial decision, discipline, a good habit. But the truth is, for many people, it's not about money anymore. It's about control. If you grew up in instability, you didn't learn to trust life. You learned to control it, because you've seen what happens when you can't. Everything can collapse, fast, no warning, no preparation. So your brain makes a simple rule. Control equals survival. And small behaviors start showing up. You check your account often. You calculate before spending. You hold money, even when unnecessary. Not logic, feeling. Each time you save, you feel a bit better. Not happy, but safe. Like you regained control. Over time, saving becomes a ritual, a repeated behavior. Not to reach a goal, but to stabilize your mind. Think about this. You might have emergency savings. You never use it, no plan to use it, but just knowing it's there makes you feel lighter. You sleep better. You worry less. That means the real value of that money is not in spending it. It's in knowing it exists. And here's the most interesting part. You can't fully control life. No one can. But your brain creates a powerful illusion that if you control money, you control the future. And that illusion becomes part of who you are. It becomes identity. You're not just someone who saves. You're someone who's always prepared. Someone who never gets caught off guard. Someone who keeps things under control. So you keep going, saving, controlling, repeating. Not because you need more money, but because you need the feeling that everything is still in your hands. By now, you might realize something. This isn't about money, not about spending, not about discipline. It's about how you were shaped. These people aren't stingy. They just grew up in an unstable world. A world where things change fast and help doesn't always come. So they learned early. Protect yourself. Prepare yourself. Take responsibility for your own safety. They don't fully trust systems, not because they're negative, but because experience taught them systems can fail, people can leave, jobs can disappear. So they build their own system, quietly, individually. And money becomes the center, not as a tool for spending, but as a shield, a defense, something that keeps them from falling into vulnerability. That's why saving is no longer financial. It's identity, a worldview, a way to stay safe. And when you understand this, you stop seeing them as too frugal. You see that they're just living the only way their brain believes will keep them from getting hurt again. So if you always save, but still don't feel safe, maybe the issue isn't how much money you have. Maybe it's how your brain was wired long ago. You're not trying to be rich. You're trying to make sure you never feel lack again. That's a big difference. You don't see money as more or less. You see it as safe or risky. And if deep inside you believe money can disappear any time, then no matter how much you have, it will never feel enough. But here's something you might forget. You've survived worse before. You've handled uncertainty. You've made it through hard times. So the real question is, are you lacking money or lacking a sense of safety inside? And if it's the second, maybe it's time to rethink how you live. If you enjoy content like this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next video.